Now, let's come to the next step. Sorry when I confuse you, but that's HR, right? That's HR. I always tell you, this is the idea, this is the concept, that's why we do it. And then I tell you why they don't work. The truth is somewhere in between, right? That's HR. Sorry. If you want to have a really clear answer, what is wrong, what is right, you should focus on something else. Then you're better off with finance. I don't know.
What about performance simplified?
Skip this.
Okay.
If I skip a slide, it's not relevant. Okay. Now let's come to the point of talent review. And before we talk about the talent review, I would share with you the so-called learning curve. Oh, there is a typo. It's curve. The learning curve. This curve shows us how things develop in nature. If you measure how a tree is growing, a flower, if you look at how children learn to speak, walk, if you start doing any kind of sports, you develop like this. That's nature. You develop fastly at the beginning. You learn a lot in the beginning. You make really huge progress in the first phase. You get better, you get better, you get better. But then your development, you get better slowly. You know, so the curve is flattened. So, but this is on a macro perspective, but this is also the micro perspective. So with these different boxes, you see different career steps. At the beginning of every career step, you learn a lot. You learn like hell. But after a while, you hardly learn something new, and then you must do the next step to really again learn fastly. So this is a very natural way how we develop things, how we develop a competence, how we learn something, how things grow in nature. And I need this curve to explain you two fundamental concepts. Concept number one is potential. And the other one, which is not mentioned in this picture, is talent. There is an assumption. There is the assumption, it's not scientifically proven, but there is the assumption that there is a kind of maximum level which you can achieve on any kind of competence. If we all would have played football and nothing but football in our entire life, would we all achieve the same level like Lionel Messi? Or not? No. There is a kind of level which we could achieve theoretically. It's not visible, but it's probably there. There's a hidden level which we can achieve, and this level differs from person to person. Okay? Right from the conception, from birth of Lionel Messi, it was defined that this person, this human being, has the potential to become one of the best football players in the world. It was defined right at the beginning. The level was there, and he did well to achieve, to come very close to this level. And this level is very, very high. Okay? So for everything we consider, for every competence, leadership, strategic thinking, entrepreneurial thinking, for any kind of instrument you play, for any kind of sports you do, there is a kind of ceiling. And the ceiling might be high or low. If this ceiling, this maximum level, is very, very high, then we name it a talent. Okay? Then we name it a talent. That means you have at least the chance, you have the room to become extraordinary well with this regard. Okay? So you have a talent right from your birth, right from your conception. That's at least a commonly shared idea. And with Lionel Messi, he got this talent really right from the beginning. It's given in the DNA. Yeah? The only thing he had to do was to make use, to come as close as possible to this maximum level. So, you start here. Let's say you start here, 0. You start to learn. And now we are here. Let's say we are here. The idea is that you can achieve a lot because your maximum level is quite high. Yeah? Now the term potential comes into play. Potential means what is the difference between where you are currently with your competence and where you could be. Okay? Potential is the difference between your actual level of competence, your actual level of performance level, and the level that you could achieve. If you get the right training, if you get the support, if you got the opportunity to leverage your talent, if a lot of things apply, which you're going to talk later. There are thousands of people in the world, any place in the world, which have a really high maximum level of playing piano. But they will never reach this level because what? They don't have a piano. Because they live in the jungle or somewhere else. They don't have the money. The level is there. For many things, you have a very high level and you don't know. But if you would practice it, you would come close to this level. But you don't know. This level is there, right from birth. Okay? So, the important question now let's turn to business. The important question for companies is, I have people in my company which I have employed and they develop maybe like this. They develop like this, some develop like this, some develop like this. Yeah? And the question for a company, really the valid question for a company is, how can we tell the potential of each and every employee? What can the people achieve? Yeah? I mean, I will hire you, and you work with my company 3 years, and I see where you are. I see, oh yeah, you got better, you achieved a certain level. Now I think about the future 5 years. Where will you be in 5 years? That's the question. Yeah? You don't know. We don't know. But we have to guess. Because if I believe that, you have a maximum level which you can achieve, I will support you. If I feel that, you will not meet only this level, I will not support you. Okay. So that's the point. Who is talented, who not? That's really a real question for every company. And let's talk about this. From what I see from research and practice, I find at least 3 criteria which are absolutely key. And you might think about yourself, if you need to understand, if you want to tell which person will be a future executive and which not, yeah? What's the difference? You have 2 persons. Person A, this person will somehow stuck in the middle, and person B will really succeed. This person will be a future executive, top level. How can you tell in very early years the difference between A and B? Yeah? Can we tell right in this group who will be on C level one day and who not? Can we tell this? That would be an interesting question. Yeah? We could invite some managers here, and every manager talk with everybody in this room, and at the end we make a judgment. Who will be an executive and who not? The question is, which criteria will we use? Yeah, to tell whether you're gonna be a future leader or not. And from what I see, there are 3 criteria which are really relevant. And the first criteria is related to performance. Yeah. There are 2 employees in a company, employee A and employee B again. Both were hired 2 years ago. Both came from the same business school. Person A did quite well. After 1 year, she took a project, did it quite good. It's okay. Average. Person B took over responsibility by his own after the first half year, and it was dramatically successful. It was brilliant. The way this person acted and the way this person engaged others, the way this person planned the project, the way this person performed was extraordinary. We rarely see something like this. And after 2 years, you can tell, this person is with this company for 2 years, but what this person has achieved, what this person has learned in these 2 years, you rarely find something like this. And only after 2 years, this person became so good in what she does. If you compare these two people, A and B, you would go for B. Why? Because person B learned so fastly, improved his or her performance so fastly, learned so fastly, took over responsibility so fastly. So the idea is, if somebody demonstrates an extraordinary growth in ability, then we assume that this growth will continue. And we will see a lot more in the future. So we predict future performance development based on past performance development. If somebody developed very fastly in the past, then this person will develop very fastly in the future. That's a fundamental idea. The next criteria is around personality. You find different people, again, both from the same business school, both employed since 2 years with this company. And you find that person A is fine, respected by others, accepted, or person B is a kind of natural leader. The others listen to this person. And this person has some strong values. They have personality that is in a way that this person can be a role model for others. He's so consequent, so honest, so real, so it's hard to capture. I can give you a test or something that tells you, is your personality wrong or right? Here it's just you feel that this young person gonna be a role model for others in the future. You can't measure it. It relates to gut feeling. Maybe you have to prove it on former behavior, former situations. You feel that, well, we had this project and we had a team of 5 people, and at 8 o'clock in the evening, it was Friday, 4 people left, and there was this one person who worked through the entire weekend. But he didn't complain. He was great. So, these are the things where you see, wow, this person is special, can be a role model for others. If you want this behavior, if this behavior is really expected. The third criteria is also very, very hard to measure, but you can feel it. And you can see it. It's about motivation. Or I should put it rather in terms of hunger. Some people are motivated, they want to do a good job. Everybody wants to do a good job, I think. But there are a few people who are not only motivated, they are hungry. They tell you, give me bigger shoes. I don't wait for you to throw me into the cold water. I'm looking for the cold water, and I jump into the coldest water which is there voluntarily. There are people who are hungry. You talk to them and you think, wow, these are the I want to change the world guys. If all these 3 things come together, extraordinary growth, a personality that proves that this person is going to be a role model for others, and hunger, then these are criteria which we use to tell, okay, this person might be high potential. Okay? The question now is, who are our high potentials? What is a high potential? So far I've shown you some criteria which companies use to determine potential. I would like to share with you a very concrete concept which most companies actively use, and this is the performance potential grid. Some call it also the 9 box. It's something really most companies use. Very commonly used.
As in the number 9?
3 times 3.
Oh, okay.
9 box. We see 2 dimensions. Dimension number 1 is potential. There are people which have much potential and some with lower potential. So lower potential means they don't have much room to get better. While those with high potential, they have much room to get better. Okay? Performance is the actual performance level. How good are you now? There are people who constantly exceed performance expectations, and there are people which do not exceed or do not meet expectations. Now, companies used to classify their people according to these 2 dimensions. Now let's have a look at some fields here. This is, by the way, taken from a famous book, The War for Talent. This grid looks different from company to company, but the idea is always the same. Now let's look at people with high potential but low performance. Can you imagine this? These are people who can really do much better in the future, but now they fail. What's wrong with these guys?
Maybe they lack motivation.
Maybe it's about motivation. Yeah? They don't like what they do. Yeah? They don't love what they do.
Maybe they just count on the fact that the managers know they have a high potential, but they're actually lazy, like in school.
Yes.
Very,
Yeah.
very smart, sometimes disturbed
good.
in class because they're just too smart for it.
They have the wrong managers. And it's a good example which you brought in. Sometimes, highly gifted people, highly gifted children, hochbegabte. How are they in school? They're normally bad. They are under-challenged. The teacher, the boss, do not see the potential and do not support these people accordingly. Yeah? Okay? This is wrong with these people. And a good idea is to think of whether they should do a different job, take over a different role, change the manager. Yeah. Now let's look at these people on the right-hand bottom side. In the textbooks, sometimes you read the term workhorse. It's kind of cynical, workhorse. It means that these people, they constantly exceed expectations. They do a really good job. They perform on a high level. But at the same time, we think that they can't do better. They already have reached this ceiling, There is no more room for improvement, but they are good. And the recommendation in the War for Talent, and we can questioning this, is let's keep these people in place. Don't change it. Leave them where they are. They do a good job, but you must not invest in these people. It's a dangerous thinking, but at least this is the recommendation from this book. A more tragic situation is this. On the left-hand bottom side, the C2s. These are people which perform low. They don't meet expectation, and at the same time you think that they can't do better. Okay, the poor guys. Tragic. Some companies say, you have to manage these people out. What does that mean, to manage out?
I'm with you today.
People.
Firing
I'm
them.
with you. I totally connect.
Maybe help
Already.
them to
Yeah.
find a better role.
Just
Help
wonder,
them
'cause you're-
to find a place where they can perform. Because people want to do a
Just
good
trying to
job,
find
and
it.
these are poor people. Yeah? If you feel that you don't perform well, you are poor. You don't like to stand up in the morning. Yeah? And if you think that in your role you can't do better, you are constantly over-challenged with what you do, you are in a bad position. Now, on the right-hand top side, the A2s in this picture, these people, they have much potential. They can become much better than today, and they already exceed expectations. And these people here are those which we name high potential. Okay? So the term high potential is not just a vague, weird concept. It's clearly defined. In most companies, high potentials are those with a high performance level and much potential. Some companies name these the top talent, the Nachwuchskräfte. There are different names for this, but the most commonly term which I use in my lecture is high potentials. In many companies, there are so-called forced distributions. Forced distributions, that means it's clearly defined that we only have maybe 5% on this box, and we have 5% here, and 90% in the rest. That can differ from company to company. So sometimes clearly define how many people should end up in these different boxes. Okay? So again, this is an exercise managers undertake in a setting like this, where they talk their people through. It typically starts on top. So the leadership on top level. They sit together and talk their people through. Find out who are the high potentials. It's not that they really, in all companies, they classify all people in all the different boxes. In some companies, they only think about who are on the right-hand top box. Yeah? So they differentiate only between two different groups. Who are the high potentials, who are not. Some companies differentiate between who are the high potentials, who are the low performers on the left-hand bottom side, and don't discuss the rest. Okay, and in practice, it's sometimes it feels like I mean just imagine we would need to do this exercise in this room with you. You consider, okay, how is your performance in your study right now, and whom of you has really potential to get even better? Yeah, we can talk this through. I guess that for 70-80% of the people we will not really discuss because we think, no, they aren't high potentials. Then there are 10 people, 8 people. We think, okay, they could be. There are 2-3 people in the room where we have no doubt. We are all clear, yes, these are high potentials. So in practice, for most people, you don't really discuss. It's clear right from the moment. And from others, it's also clear that they are high potentials. But the discussion starts with some where it's not so clear. And then HR comes into play, the HR business partner, the HR director, who try to facilitate the situation. So now let's talk about Bernd. You say he's a high potential, some won't agree, so please tell me, why is Bernd a high potential? Okay, he did this project, succeed that way, was a role model, huh? But then he failed, so what do we think? Yeah, so sometimes you struggle, and then you make a final decision. Okay, given what we have learned about Bernd, let's decide that, okay, he's a high potential. Okay, that's how it works. So, and once you have done this on a level, you go one level deeper. It's an intense process. It's not a process that's done in half an hour. Yeah? A talent review typically takes at least half a day, or maybe one day, where managers on senior level sit together and talk to people through. That's very, very intense. I mean, they make a decision about in whom they want to really invest, in which people they really believe, which people do we see in the future as our future leaders. Okay, that's a very critical decision these people make in this situation. Okay, so and at the end of this process of talent review, you have, to put it simple, a list of names. Let's say we have a list of 30 names, our high potentials. And the question is, what to do with these? What happens with these? So if you're nominated as a high potential, wherever you will work, the question is, what will happen to you? Okay, let's talk about this. And as I said earlier, the next step is that the company undertakes a more detailed assessment about your strengths and weaknesses. Yeah? And one idea to do this, I mentioned this already, is to do a kind of assessment center. We don't name it assessment center in this occasion. We name it potential assessment, or as some name it, development assessment. Okay. So again, you spend 1 day or 2 days with other high potentials, and you do some silly tasks, some group exercises, case studies, presentation, tests, interviews, all these different things, these nice things which we have in HR to determine what are your real strengths and what are your weaknesses. Okay. Another concept which is heavily used, is very famous, very commonly used, is the so-called 360-degree feedback. Yeah? That comes into play here. What is that? Most high potentials are already on the level of team leader, project leader. Okay. So in 360-degree feedback, you have a look at these people from very different angles. You use questionnaires. Yeah? You use questionnaires, and then different people make evaluation about your performance, about your competencies. What are the different angles? First angle is your subordinates. It's your team, the people who report to you. Okay? They say, okay, from our perspective, we think that Bernd is good in this and this and this, but not so good in that. Okay? Then this person has some peers. Yeah? These are colleagues on the same level, other team leads. Yeah? And they look from a horizontal angle. Okay, we work with Bernd and his team, and what we can see is that he has some strengths and weaknesses and blah, blah, blah. And then there is the boss of Bernd, yeah, on top. He looks down and says, Bernd, my team lead? Yeah, he has some strengths and weaknesses. Duck, 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 duck. And there are some other departments, maybe customers, internal customers Bernd works with, and they look from a different angle. Okay, customers are always those that work with the result of a team. Yeah? So in companies, when you work in a company, you have internal customers, those who benefit from your work, yeah, in the value chain. So you get a feedback from these. And moreover, the person as such makes an assessment about him or herself. Okay, so I'm Bernd. I think that my strengths are these and my weaknesses are these. And then I compare my view with the feedback from all others. So what I get at the end is a very complete feedback from very different angles. And that's important because the expectations from the peers are totally different than the expectations from the subordinates. And these expectations are different than the expectation from the supervisor. Okay? Might be. Must not be, but might be. Okay? So having a feedback from all these different perspectives gives me very complete, reliable understanding about what my strengths and my weaknesses are. Okay? It's very time intense, very costly doing something like this. It is much administrative effort to manage something like this. Yeah, but it's it's highly accepted. And for the focused person, the person in question, it's very, very useful. Okay? So, where are we? You are identified as a high potential. You went through some potential assessment. Now, there is an understanding about your strengths and weaknesses. Now is the question, what comes next? And of course, the next step should be about let's say, fixing some development needs. You should get better in international experience, okay, let's do something. You should get better in managing projects, okay, let's do something. Okay? So referring to the competency model, you might find that there are some weaknesses, some strengths, and according to this, some development plans are defined. Okay? Let's talk about this. And before we talk about this, I would like to share with you a fundamental differentiation. Let me ask you, whom of you wants to succeed in his or her career? Of course, all of you. Yeah. I would be surprised if you would say no. Now, next question. What does that mean to you, career? What is that? Career is important, maybe. You want to be successful in your career. What is your idea, your personal idea about career? What is that? Could we share some thoughts? What does that mean, career? Please.
Maybe it is to like accelerate my potentials to bring it to the fullest.
Okay. You want to get better in something,
yeah?
And accelerate your talent.
It's my fingerprint in the world.
Sorry?
My fingerprint in the world.
Your fingerprint in the world. Yeah? Okay.
For me, it's ultimately reaching that ceiling that we were talking about.
You want to reach the ceiling. You want to be as good as possible in what you do. Yeah?
For some, it's maybe being promoted every now and then, or
Right.
for others, it's more how your work life develops.
Yeah. Promotion. Of course, promotion is also a very important concept related to career. To be successful in career might mean that you get promoted sometimes in your life. But you put it right. It does not necessarily mean that you get promoted. There are two types of careers, and I'm really happy. I mean, you said the first mentions, the first points were not really about promotions. It was about, I want to become excellent in what I do. I want to be unique in what I do, my fingerprint. Yeah? I want to be able to say, that's me. I'm strong in this. That's great. Yeah? That's my place in the world. Yeah? So, career does not necessarily mean management career. Okay, that's my point here. Management career means that your responsibility inside the hierarchy increases. Okay, you move from a lower level to a higher level. That's our traditional understanding of career, to get promoted, right? But what we can see nowadays is that for many people, and obviously for some of you, career does not necessarily mean that you get promoted. Because leading people, leading managers, managing organizations, leading organizations, that's not only fun, that might be scary. But you want to get better. You reach the ceiling. So career must not necessarily mean that you move up the hierarchical ladder. It could also mean, now we talk about expert career, that you simply get better in what you are, yeah, without getting promoted. That's what we call expert career. So you stay on the same level, but you are step by step considered as a more and more influential, important expert in something. I give you an example. I'm an example. I did an expert career. I'm a really lousy manager. I cannot manage people. It is as it is. I accepted it. And I'm happy that I accepted it. Yeah, so I should not manage people. I became a professor. I'm an expert. That's what professors are. They are an expert something. I gained some privileges. I got a nice title. Yeah. But I don't lead people. You know. So professor is a typical expert career, and we have this in some companies. Yeah. At IBM, for instance, there is a specific role. Research fellows. The research fellows are not people that lead others. They are highly accepted, highly respected experts in something. And it's not easy to become a research fellow. You get a lot of privileges. You are free to work on whatever you like. Yeah? You act like a professor, but inside a company. It's really a level that some people want to achieve. They don't want to lead people, but they want to be seen as an expert in something. That is what we call an expert career. So what you take home with this, just want to add it here, is when we talk about development, when we talk about career, it does not necessarily mean management career. More and more companies also work on something which we call expert career. Okay, and the question here is, okay, how about the salary? Okay, I increase my salary by getting promoted. Do I also get more salary by getting a more senior expert? I mean, these are the questions here. Okay, now let's talk about some very concrete development measures. And here is a picture, again, taken from the War for Talent. They made a study, a very interesting study. They asked managers who really succeeded, what was important in your career? What helped you to succeed in your career? Okay? And the most important axis is the horizontal axis, the importance of different development measures. And here we already find a huge portfolio, a huge range of different things companies can do. From training, mentoring, 360-degree feedback, rotation, roles with special project opportunities, whatever. What we can tell, and I will take up this point later on, is that there are a lot of different things. Some have to do with training, some have to do with mentoring, coaching, feedback, and a lot of things have to do with jobs. Okay? So this is from research what we know. I will take this in a minute and we talk about different concepts. I want you to understand these different concepts. Before we do this, let's ask ourselves one important question. The question is, what helps people to really leverage, to really develop their talent? That's also important to you. You all have a talent. And I think one of the most important questions in life is to understand, what is my talent? Where can I be really strong? This is a critical question. This is a tough question. And to answer this question sometimes takes an entire life. You cannot answer this question by just doing a test. You cannot answer this question in a weekend. Some people struggle with that question for the rest of their life, never finding out what their talent were. Poor people. There are other people which knew right from childhood what they want to be. Leonard Bernstein, just to take one example. Leonard Bernstein, this great conductor, one of the greatest conductors of all times. He realized in the age of 4, when he attended a concert with his father, he realized at this particular moment, I'm gonna be a conductor. Yes. And he stick to this through his life. Some others realized very early in their life, this is what I'm gonna be in my life. Lucky people. Do you all know what you're gonna be, where you are strong? Do you all know what your talents are? Probably not. So, then the question is, once I know where I can be strong, what must happen that I'm not only this child sitting in the concert with my father, but really getting one of the best conductors in the world. Not only realizing that I'm a talented football player, but really come to a level of Lionel Messi or lower. Okay? And there are some studies around, but I personally prefer to study biography. So in my home I have, I don't know how many books, biographies. I love to read biographies, really. And I learn a lot from biographies. Yeah. I learn about what is the architecture of success? What are the drivers that makes people successful? And here is on one single slide, my personal, I really highlight this, my personal view. It's not that I've taken this from some research, but this is what I see, at least. People who develop their talent truly love what they do. Do you love what you do? You study business. I do not ask, do you love to study business? I mean, that would be too extreme. But you should like it. Really. In my life, I studied mechatronics when I was 20. Mechatronics, Fachhochschule Essen. For 2 semesters. Then I quit. I went home to my parents, said, you know what, I quit my study. What? How can you do this? Oh, I hate mechatronics. So, Armin, what do you want to do now? I study psychology. Oh my God. My parents, you need to know, my parents are very traditional, kind of conservative people. I love my parents. Perfect. I had the perfect parents in my life. At this moment, the response is, oh my, our son wants to become a psychologist. I mean, Armin, if you have some problems, we can talk. Yeah. The fact was, and they knew it, I loved psychology so much. I had so many books about psychology. I studied mechatronics in daytime, and in the evening I read books about psychology. I love psychology. So I decided to study psychology. And from that moment, I truly loved what I did. Studying was fun to me. It was really fun. I did what I liked anyhow. So it was perfect. So if you hate business, do something else. It's not that you must love everything. I mean, there were some things in psychology which I did not like. Of course. And you must not like tax, law, accounting. You must not like everything. But you should like to think about business. Yeah? Okay? It's important that you love what you do. Life is too important to do something which you don't love. Okay? And for the successful people, for those it completely applies that they love what they do. And they knew their real potential. They knew that they can be good. Okay? And they also knew where they can't be good. There they took some help from others. So to have understanding about where can I be strong, it's important. And they had a vision, a role model. This is where I'm going to end up in my life. They knew this, or at least they had a rough idea. Yeah? And they loved to jump into cold water. They did not hesitate. You can read it through all the biographies. When they found an opportunity to prove their talent, to leverage talent, they walked to it. They run to it. They were not laid back and waiting for somebody asking them to do something. They always looking for, where can I do something? Where can I have my next challenge? They build networks, and it's important. You have to build networks. I recently read a biography of Eric Clapton. And it's funny because when you read Eric Clapton, when he was 16, 20, he wrote, yes, in the evening I met Phil Collins, and then we drank something together, and we met Mick Jagger, and then we had a funny night, and 4 o'clock in the morning we sat together with John Lennon and Paul McCartney, and said, oh my God, he knew everybody. Yeah, and that was important. That was important. Yeah, knowing people, really. We know this also from research that if you hide yourself in your shelf, you will not be detected. You must know people. Build a network. You must sell yourself. Yeah? One important criteria to succeed is other people like to work with you. It's so simple and it's true. Other people like to work with you. They must not love you, but they benefit from you. They think it's good to work with you. I learned something. It helps me to work with you. Yeah. Most people are disciplined, most of the time. Yeah. Focused on what they do. What we also know is that high potentials really love to work with other high potentials. They love to be together with other strong people. A player like to work with a player. Okay. These are things which are about the people, about the person themselves. And these, on the right-hand side, are criteria, things that must be, which are more related to their environment. And one first thing is, if you want to succeed in your talent, if you want to develop your talent, there is a very simple truth. You must get the chance to do it. You must get the chance to do it. Very simple. We have a lot of people in companies who are talented in something, but they don't get the chance to develop their talent. Some have a strong mentor. We're going to talk about what is that, mentoring. A person on a senior level that believes in you and that supports you. Sometimes you're simply lucky. Yeah, you are in the right place at the right moment. That also is true. Yeah. They prefer to work with people who are strong in something where you are weak. You got this point? I'll give you an example. Robbie Williams. You know Robbie Williams? Mm-hmm. Of course. Oh my God. Robbie Williams. Where is he strong in? Is he a strong singer? I would say yes. He's a strong performer. I mean, Robbie Williams can sing, no doubt about it. He's an entertainer, no doubt about it. But there's one thing he can't do. Writing songs. He can't write songs. So he always worked together with people who were able to write songs. At the time with Take That, there was Gary Barlow. Yeah, he was a genius. Yeah, he wrote "Back for Goods." I mean, really a great song. "Back for Goods." He wrote this song in 20 minutes. They became millionaires just because of this single song. Yeah, and then later on, he worked together with Guy Chambers. Yeah, who wrote "Angels" and some other songs. So he always had to work together with people who were strong in something where he was weak. Yeah? That's important. Yeah? Others can compensate your weaknesses. Training. Not always applies, but many successful people are well trained. Yeah, they got a good education. Okay? Some quit education, like Richard Branson or Steve Jobs or Bill Gates. These are special examples. Don't follow these examples. No? Showed early successes. Early successes are important so that people see, oh, you are talented in something. If you're 48 and you prove that you are good, that might be too late. So early successes, wherever they came from and whenever they appear, can be important. And you are well known. Well known means other people know you. Okay? So it's not only whom do you know, it's also about who knows you. That might be a different story. If this is all correct, if we believe that this really applies, more or less, the question for companies is really, now we have the high potentials identified. And the question is, how can we apply these points so that our high potentials really leverage their talent? That's the question we're going to answer now. Okay? And here is an overview. And this is mirroring a little bit the study which I've shown you some minutes before. There is a practical idea which is not scientifically proven, but there's a practical idea some companies believe in. Whether it's right or not, don't care, but some companies say there are 3 things which are important. People learn or develop their talent through experience. And this is 70%. 20% we learn from others. Yeah? It's not through experience. It's you simply learn through others, from feedback, mentoring, coaching, role models. And 10% we learn from training. Again, this is not scientifically proven, but that's a rule of thumb some companies use. We can also add a fourth area which says we develop through private experience. Okay? But that doesn't matter in a corporate context. Okay? And in these different fields, now we have some very concrete measures which we can undertake to make the people develop. And I would like to start with mentoring. Yeah? What is a mentor? What do you think? What is a mentor? Yes, please.
Really wise person.
A really wise person. At least you believe that this person is a wise person. You trust in this person.
Normally a more experienced person. Who can
More
guide
experienced.
you.
Yeah.
I agree.
It's always senior than yourself.
Somebody who's interested in exchanging his views with you because you're young and you might be at the edge of technology or you have different views on
Very
this
good.
and he wants to know more about this.
Very
He
good.
has his benefit and
Yeah, it's
I can
good.
learn from his experience.
You understand something which many companies still not understood. That there is a mutual benefit. As a mentor, I expect something from my mentee, and of course vice versa.
The mentor also tells you about mistakes that you did, so you don't make the same mistakes.
Yes, you can learn from the mistakes of the mentors. Yeah, I tell. When I were in your shoes 40 years ago, I did this. Please don't do this again. So you can learn from the experience. You can learn from the experience of the mentor. Now, to put it brief, it's quite simple. We already got most of the points. A mentor is much senior than yourself. You as a high potential, yeah, much senior, and it's not your boss. It's not your boss. It's somebody who is from a different area in the hierarchy that's indicated through this line. Okay? That is somebody who is senior. Okay? And there are 2 things which are really important so that a mentor-mentee relationship really works. It's very simple. It's trust and commitment. Why do I tell you this? I see many companies which have a corporate mentoring program. They act this way. They say, okay, here are 30 high potentials. We have identified these. They ran through a potential assessment. And here are 6 executives. And now we make an Excel list saying, okay, these 5 people are menteed by this executive, these 5 people by this executive, these 5 people by this. So they assign the mentors and the mentees randomly or somehow. Okay? And this does not work. Why? Because the mentee must trust in his or her mentor and vice versa. If Dr. Schmidt, is the mentor of Bernd, but Dr. Schmidt does not like Bernd, it will not work out, and vice versa. Okay, there must be a trustful relationship, and they must be committed to both. I don't disappoint you, and you don't disappoint me. We believe in each other, and the more important thing, or more, at least equally important point here is that both must benefit from this relation. That's very important. And you mentioned this. The benefits for the mentor is, if I support young people, I build the support. I build my supporters for the future. Yeah. If I believe in these young people and they grow up, they will support me. Yeah. I build a kind of community around me, a network that also will help me in my personal career. Yeah. I can learn from the bottom line. I get feedback from the young people. How do they think? What would they improve? How do they experience business and so on? Yeah, they can learn from these people. Mentors can learn from high potentials. You get professional insights across borders from different people, yeah, on different divisions, from different functions. And this is a reason which most mentors tell me when I ask them, why do you mentor? They say, I get so much back. Yeah. I love it. I love to work with young people. Appreciation. Anerkennung. Okay? But also for the mentees, there must be some benefits. And we should not focus only on these. Yeah? I get access to networks and roles. I have a support who opens door. Yeah? I get a professional feedback. Do this, don't do that. I get confidence in myself. If there is somebody senior who believes in me, I'm willing to jump in this cold water. Just because there is somebody who believes in me. You know, that's important. I mean, moving into a management role, that's a very uncertain situation. That's a scary situation. But if I have somebody who tells me, you make it, it helps me emotionally. Okay? And I have a role model. Yeah, I can learn from this person. You might wonder why I've added this logo here. Voice of Germany. You know Voice of Germany?
Yes.
Yeah, of course.
I love this show. Really. When I watched Voice of Germany the first time, my initial thought was, wow, that's how mentoring works. And it's so different from what we see in many companies. There is a person singing, and the potential mentors don't see this person. They are faced with a back. Can I say this one? Mm-hmm. They don't see the face. They just listen to this person singing, and then they have to decide about one question. Do I believe in this person, yes or no? It's just a yes or no. Yes, I believe. Bother. Yeah. What? Then it's up to the talent. Does the talent believe in me? So this entire exercise is to make sure that the mentor believes in the mentee and the mentee believes in the mentor, and both benefit. Okay? That really works. My recommendation also to mid-sized companies is that make a Voice of Germany kind of thing in your company. Let the high potential present themselves to the management board. Let them all make a 10-minute presentation in front of the executive board through an entire day, and the management board, they decide with whom they would like to work, and then the high potential decide with whom they would like to work. Okay? I think this is a very good idea. Then we have career coaching. What is career coaching? What is the difference between a coach and a mentor? I mean, you have heard both terms, right? What is the difference between a coach and a mentor? A mentor might give advice. A coach would never do so. What does a coach do? A coach simply asks questions. Yeah, questions like these. I want to walk through all this. But you can personally think about these questions. Let's pick out one. Which working conditions are important to you? I mean, we could do this exercise. Take a small piece of paper and write down the one thing in your job, in your future, which is really important to you. I tell you mine. Freedom. I need freedom. I'm happy that I don't have a boss. I'm happy that I don't have work time. I just do my job. I don't have work time. Yeah? Nobody cares. After this lecture, I do something nobody knows. I organize myself. I need freedom. What do you like? What is important to you? Money? Is it, I would like to work with cool colleagues. That's the most important thing. I can do everything, at least when I work with cool colleagues. The most important thing for me is that I work in a team. The most important thing for me is that I can work alone. The most important thing is that I want to travel. The most important thing is the most important thing I want to avoid is travel. Yeah? What is important to you? And now, what does coaching mean? If I ask you what is important to you, that's easy. You take a piece of paper, you write it down, and that's it. The difference is when we sit together and I look into your eyes and ask what is important to you, tell me. The most relevant thing about coaching is that there is a person present. You have to talk to this person, and this person looks into your eyes. So you must be clear about what you say. You just say something. So the power of coaching comes from the mere presence of another person asking you questions, making you think and articulate your thoughts in front of another person. That's the power of coaching. Coaching is really helpful to gain a better understanding about yourself. Because I think you should have answers on these questions. Even though these questions are really tough, you should have answers. And high potentials must have answers on these questions. And coaching really can help. Okay? Now, let's talk about the cold water. Okay? What is cold water? In management, we name this stretch jobs. Stretch jobs. Now, your first question with stretch jobs is, what are the appropriate stretch jobs in our company? I give you some examples. The assistant to the CEO. That's a perfect example. The assistant to the CEO. Yeah? You are the third brain hemisphere of the CEO. You are always with the CEO. You share all his thoughts. You prepare things. You solve problems. You take responsibility for critical projects. You learn like hell. And you can't do this job for longer than 2 or 3 years. Afterwards, you are exhausted. Yeah. But you learn a lot. Yeah. The assistant to the CEO is a job where you have acceptable turnover risk. That means it's okay when every 2 years a different person takes over this role. It's okay. Yeah. You are really visible. You will increase your network. You will meet a lot of senior people. Yeah. When you were the assistant of the CEO, everybody in the company will know you, and probably you will know a lot of people in the company. You have a lot of social and professional variety. You do very different things with very different persons. You get a lot of insights into a lot of things, and you have much responsibility. Yeah, it's very scary, very cold, this water, but you learn a lot through this responsibility. You really are under pressure to learn things. Yeah. And you are also under social pressure. Really, it's very intense. Now the question is, what are the stretch roles in our company? There is an author named McCall who wrote a book. The book is named High Flyers. And he says that in every company you have a lot of schools. A lot of schools. You want to learn about different cultures? Okay, there's a school for it. In brackets, jobs where you can learn this. Yeah? You want to learn about sales? We have a school about it in our company, probably in the sales department. So the question is, where in a company can people learn what? Okay? What are the cold waters in our company? Yeah? And what can you learn in these different cold waters? In some cold waters you learn leadership, management. In some other cold waters you learn intercultural sensitivity. In other cold waters you learn something about finance, HR, or something else. In some cold waters you learn strategy. In some companies there is a really determined mixture of things, of schools which you have to attend. Two examples, or two companies with the same example. The one company is Henkel, and the other company is Bosch. And these companies, they apply a concept which is very, very simple. It's the so-called triple two. Triple two. What is that, triple two? If you want to reach a specific senior management level in these companies, Henkel or Bosch, you have to work in 2 countries, in 2 divisions, in 2 functions. Okay? Very easy. If you haven't worked in 2 countries, if you haven't worked in 2 functions, production, finance, HR, marketing, if you haven't worked in 2 divisions, automotive, household technology, you will not make it to a certain level. Okay, so that's the point, saying we have different schools and we want the high potentials to attend these schools systematically. So you look at what are the schools, the stretch jobs which we have, and which high potential do we offer which school. This is the idea about stretch role, and this is absolutely crucial. Okay? Give me a name of any company which we all know.
Hugo Boss.
Sorry?
Hugo Boss.
Hugo Boss.
You German.
So,
Actually, don't
now
know
let's
don't
beam
have
ourselves into Hugo Boss. Yeah, we are now in Hugo Boss.
Perfumes.
What are major challenges of Hugo Boss as a company? Or let me put it in different terms. Why can't the CEO of Hugo Boss sleep at night? Why can't he sleep at night?
Probably because he's not sure if the new collection will be accepted or if the people like the new collection.
Okay. Let's say there is a new collection, yeah? A new line, or however they name it. Does anyone know? Orange, I don't know. Yeah? They don't know whether this really works. They want to define a new line, new collection for a very specific target group. Let's say older people.
Yeah.
We name it the Silver Collection. Challenge number 2. Well, why can't Hugo Boss CEO sleep at night? What are challenges of a company like this? What do you think?
The advertisement.
Advertisement.
And the advertisement is right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do we have the right branding strategies? Yeah. Let's put it more concrete. The question is, we are not sure whether or not and how to use social media. Okay? Okay, silver line, social media. Now, we have, let's say, 20 high potentials. Okay, 20 high potentials. What we would do now with action learning, and this is a concept which I want to share with you now, a very important concept in talent development, is first, we define strategic projects, strategic topics as we have done it right now. Okay? And then we identify and prepare the participants for an action learning program. This might be the 20 high potentials. Okay? And then we run a program where these 20 people work on these 2 challenges. Yeah? And they come up with very concrete recommendations, very concrete proposal, presented to the executive board, And if they've done well, these ideas, their proposal, will be translated into very concrete actions. That's an overview of action learning. I would like to show you how this concretely works. Okay? So this is a better picture to show you how the program operation works. The 20 high potentials. Let's assume you are these 20 potentials. You are invited to a kickoff. A kickoff is the very first meeting which we have in such a program. And then the CEO comes in, tells you, you know guys, welcome you all here. I would like to share you 2 reasons why I can't sleep at night. My first point is, I struggle with a silver line. I don't know how to use social media. We have some ideas, but we are not sure in this. Okay? So, a kickoff is done. And after this kickoff, you really feel the sense of urgency. See, oh wow, there is a strategic topic. This company must solve these challenges. Otherwise, we all together have a big problem. Okay? And then, after this kickoff, a kind of training takes place with workshop where the high potentials start to work on these 2 things. External teachers, external experts, external professors are invited to give some input. This could be 3 days, a week. So, in this week, the high potentials are prepared to work on these 2 things. And then they break up in groups. Yeah? Here are 3 streams. In our case, we would have 2 streams. 10 people work on Silver Line, on the first issue, the first challenge. The other 10 people work on the other. And they work on these over weeks. Yeah? It's not in the workshop. They work over weeks in their spare time, over the weekend. They do research. They collect data. They invite experts. They do what consultants typically do. They collect data, try to build understanding, try to come up with some recommendations, structure, ideas, risks, chances and everything. Then they again meet in a workshop, get some input externally, from external. They share their ideas. They meet a week or so. And then they break up and work in their project teams. They continue their work. Silver Line, social media. Then again a training and a workshop. And then they again work. So, and then training workshop where they finalize their ideas and their proposal. And then at the end of the entire program, there is a final presentation in front of the CEO, in front of the executive board, where the high potentials present their ideas, where they present their recommendations. Well, I have attended a couple of these events, and I had the chance, the privilege to manage a program like this. And I can tell you, in my life, I've never seen presentations which were better prepared than in these final presentations. These high potentials, they don't sleep at night. The night before this presentation, they work, they improve, they change this slide, they work on this plan, they make it perfect. And what you get at the end is perfect. Why? Because in such a program, the high potentials see that now it's my chance to prove that I can deal with a strategic issue. I will present myself, I will sell myself as a very strong person in front of the executive board. This is my chance in my life to stand in front of the executive board and show that I'm strong. So that's why they give everything. Yeah. Throughout the course of such a program, which can last a quarter, half a year, at least a couple of weeks, a month, they are mentored by maybe the CMO, the Chief Marketing Officer, or Chief Designer, I don't know, some executives who really support these project teams through the course of the entire program. And when high potentials get together in a program like this, and they work together, there's a very special effect. The effect is, when I am a high potential in my department, I'm burned and I'm the best. Yeah? I know that I'm the best. I feel I'm the best. I prove that I'm the best. Now I'm high potential, no surprise. Now I join such a program, and now I realize that the others ain't dumb. Yeah? The others are equally strong. I'm not the only Messi in this company. Yeah? And now a very natural competition starts. I want to be at least as good as the others, maybe better. So it's really tough. You work hard. Of course you drink a beer at the evenings at programs, but 1, not 8, because you stand up in the morning very early, continue working. You give your best, yeah, to be better than the others, yeah, to prove yourself that you are really strong. So now that's the idea of action learning. Action learning, let me summarize. Action learning is a combination of training and practical work. Yeah? Action learning. Action learning means I get some input, training, I gain some knowledge, and I reflect my knowledge in a very given situation. Together with others. That's action learning. And we know today that action learning is one of the best things companies really can do with their high potentials. Okay? That's really powerful. That really works.
Can I ask a quick question? So this process here is for the selected high potentials?
Yes.
who
Only
have a
for the
chance-
selected high potentials.
Okay, so they have the chance to move up to fill one of these positions,
Yeah.
and they're trying to prove themselves by working on this project and presenting.
Yeah.
Okay.
These are the selected high potentials, and they work on these projects. They let me add one point which is relevant now when you say it. They are not responsible for this project. They work on these projects just to learn and to prove that they can handle these things. It's not that they are responsible.
It's not real life, right?
It's not real life.
Yeah.
And it must not be that the recommendations at the end are really implemented. It's just school. But we know that high potentials don't want to work on Harvard business case studies. In companies, they want to work on the real things that matter for this company. Yeah, it's not that they are responsible. There are others in the company who are responsible for the silver line and social media. They just work on these and provide some very concrete proposals. The last thing I want to share with you are so-called internal talent markets. I mean, I've shared with you the idea of the 222, right? And the idea is that if I want to succeed in my career, I have to see different things in my life. I have to move from this position to this position. I go abroad for a while. I take responsibility for a different project, maybe in a different department. So I move in my career through different steps inside the company. But the concrete practical question is, how do I know which opportunities are there? Yeah? And how do the managers who offer jobs and projects, how do they know that I am there? Okay? It's a very practical question. How get jobs and high potentials together? That's like in a regular labor market. There are jobs and talents. Talents, jobs. And the question is, how do they find each other? Especially in a global corporation, yeah, where you have hundreds of jobs. How do I know as a high potential what kind of opportunities are there? And the managers all around the world, how do they know that I am there? How can they find me? So what more and more companies do, is a very modern concept, is they do not only post their jobs on a kind of blackboard or in a kind of intranet page. they have a kind of internal job sorry, no. Stellenbörse. Monster. What is the English term for monster?
A monster.
Monster, stepstone. Huh? Job board. A job board.
Classifieds.
Yeah. So, yeah. It's a kind of internal job board where not only internal opportunities, projects are posted, but also me, myself, as a talent, I can post my profile there, right? I have my picture, maybe I have my CV, I have my preferences. I can articulate what I want to be my next step, so that managers all around the world can find me and see, oh, there's Bernd, and he wants to do this? Okay, let's talk to him, right? So, also more and more companies do internal career fairs, yeah? Not for the external, but internal, so that people can see what do other departments do in my company, what do my colleagues do in different departments. Maybe there's something which I like and which I can do. So companies more and more encourage the kind of internal labor market through a internal job board, internal job fairs, and other things. I find this very powerful. Okay, very powerful. Sometimes these internal talent markets are facilitated by some HR consultants. Could be that as an HR consultant, HR person, I try to bring together certain talents with certain projects and jobs, make recommendations, say, hey Bernd, there's something for you. Hey manager, look at Bernd, he's interested. Why don't you get together? Yeah, I try to facilitate this process. And in addition to this, companies need certain rules. Yeah? If you have an internal labor market like this, there's one thing that happens. It happens that managers compete for the same talent inside the company. They see, oh, there's Bernd. I want to have him. No, I want to have him. No, I want to have him. And then they approach him, and the manager of Bernd is really scary. He say, well, they all want Bernd. Bernd is my best person in my department, but they all want to have him. So stop contacting Bernd. That's the problem. Yeah? Some companies don't want this competition, but if you have this, you have it. You have internal competition, which is good. Yeah? Internal competition is good. But to make this work and to make it less scary, less dangerous for managers, there might be some rules also. In addition to the labor market, a rule might be an internal notice period. Yeah? If you change the department, if you change the job inside the company, tell your manager at least 3 months before you do so. You should stay on your current job at least 2 years before you move to another job. If not, HR must approve it. You only can change from one job to another if your salary does not increase, whether it's silly or not. But rules like this must be applied so that this internal competition for talent stays fair. Okay? So, to summarize, we said there is performance, and in the middle there's a competency model that we use throughout the entire course, always looking what is required, where are the people, where should people be improve themselves, yeah? And then we have performance management. Performance appraisal, objective setting. Yeah? We talk about the performance of the people. Yeah? And based on this, in the next step, the question is, okay, from what we have learned about the people, who are those with a high performance and a high potential? These are our high potentials. So we pick these top 5%. We make a kind of potential assessment in a kind of assessment center or 360-degree feedback. Get a better understanding about the strength and the weakness of the people. And based on this, we create a development plan where we have a mixture of different things. We talked about these things. Coaching, mentoring, taking part in an action learning program. Do this stretch role. Yeah, post yourself on the internal talent market. Training. These different things are combined and then operated in this phase. And the hope is, when we do all this, we build people, we develop people so that once a key position becomes vacant, yeah, we have somebody ready. Yeah? That's the entire idea of talent development. And with that, we are through. Yeah? Thank you. It was fun to teach you. Yeah? And see you next week. It was defined that this person, this human being, has the potential to become one of the best football players in the world. It was defined right at the beginning. The level was there. And he did well to achieve, to come very close to this level. And this level is very, very high. Okay? So for everything we consider, for every competence, leadership, strategic thinking, entrepreneurial thinking, for any kind of instrument you play, for any kind of sports you do, there is a kind of ceiling. And the ceiling might be high or low. If this ceiling, this maximum level, is very, very high, then we name it a talent. Okay? Then we name it a talent. That means you have at least the chance, you have the room to become extraordinary well with this regard. Okay? So you have a talent right from your birth, right from your conception. That's at least a commonly shared idea. And with Lionel Messi, he got this talent really right from the beginning. It's given in the DNA. Yeah? The only thing he had to do was to make use, to come as close as possible to this maximum level. So, you start here. Let's say you start here, 0. You start to learn. And now we are here. Let's say we are here. The idea is that you can achieve a lot because your immaculate question for a company is, how can we tell the potential of each and every employee? What can the people achieve? Yeah? I mean, I will hire you, and you work with my company 3 years, and I see where you are. I see, oh yeah, you got better, you achieved a certain level. Now I think about the future 5 years. Where will you be in 5 years? That's the question. Yeah? You don't know? We don't know. But we have to guess. Because if I believe that, oh, you have a maximum level which you can achieve, I will support you. If I feel that, oh, you will not meet only this level, I will not support you. Okay. So that's the point. Who is talented, who not? That's really a real question for every company. And let's talk about this. From what I see, from research and practice, I find at least 3 criteria which are absolutely key. And you might think about yourself, if you need to understand, if you want to tell which person will be a future executive and which not, yeah? What's the difference? You have 2 persons. Person A, this person will somehow stuck in the middle, and person B will really succeed. This person will be a future executive, top level. How can you tell in very early years the difference between A and B? Yeah? Can we tell right in this group who will be on C level one day and who not? Can we tell this? That would be an interesting question. Yeah? We could invite some managers here, and every manager talk with everybody in this room. And at the end, now let's come to the next step. Sorry when I confuse you, but that's HR, right? That's HR. I always tell you, this is the idea, this is the concept, that's why we do it, and then I tell you why they don't work. The truth is somewhere in between. Right? That's HR. Sorry. If you want to have a really clear answer, what is wrong, what is right, you should focus on something else. Then you're better off with finance. I don't know.
What about performance simplified?
Skip this.
Okay.
If I skip a slide, it's not relevant. Okay. Now let's come to the point of talent review. And before we talk about the talent review, I would share with you the so-called learning curve. Oh, there is a typo. It's curve. The learning curve. This curve shows us how things develop in nature. If you measure how a tree is growing, a flower, if you look at how children learn to speak, walk, if you start doing any kind of sports, you develop like this. That's nature. You develop fastly at the beginning. You learn a lot in the beginning. You make really huge progress in the first phase. You get better, you get better, you get better. But then your development, you get better slowly. You know, so the curve is flattened. So, but this is on a macro perspective, but this is also the micro perspective. So with these different boxes, the level is quite high. Yeah. Now the term potential comes into play. Potential means what is the difference between where you are currently with your competence and where you could be. Okay. Potential is the difference between your actual level of competence, the actual level of performance level, and the level that you could achieve if you get the right training, if you get the support, if you got the opportunity to leverage your talent, if a lot of things apply, which you're going to talk later. There are thousands of people in the world, any place in the world, which have a really high maximum level of playing piano. But they will never reach this level because what? They don't have a piano. Because they live in the jungle or somewhere else. They don't have the money. The level is there. For many things, you have a very high level and you don't know. But if you would practice it, you would come close to this level. But you don't know. This level is there, right from birth. Okay? So, the important question now let's turn to business. The important question for companies is, I have people in my company which I have employed and they develop maybe like this. They develop like this, some develop like this, some develop like this. Yeah? And the question for a company, really the value is you see different career steps. At the beginning of every career step, you learn a lot. You learn like hell. But after a while, you hardly learn something new. And then you must do the next step to really, again, learn fastly. So this is a very natural way how we develop things, how we develop a competence, how we learn something, how things grow in nature. And I need this curve to explain you two fundamental concepts. Concept number one is potential. And the other one, which is not mentioned in this picture, is talent. There is an assumption. There is the assumption, it's not scientifically proven, but there is the assumption that there is a kind of maximum level which you can achieve on any kind of competence. If we all would have played football and nothing but football in our entire life, would we all achieve the same level like Lionel Messi? Or not? No. there is a kind of level which we could achieve theoretically. It's not visible, but it's probably there. There's a hidden level which we can achieve, and this level differs from person to person. Okay? Right from the conception, from birth of Lionel Messi,